Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm delighted to have with me the 4-division world champion, Mikey Garcia. Mikey, it's great to be in Fresno. It's great to see you. How are we doing?
I'm good, thank you. We're excited, we're ready. We're excited to get back, and Saturday night will be another opportunity for me to show, my fans and the whole world that, there's still a lot more in Mikey Garcia.
Well, you mentioned that, and I'll just start with that. You're kind of this unique fighter that can kind of go on any platform. You can go to Bob Arum, you can go to Al Heyman, you can go to Eddie Hearn, and there'll be no politics involved because they'll all love to have you on their platform because you bring so much commercial value. Is that a good position to be in?
I think it's the best position to be in, and I'm fortunate to be able to do so. Working with different promoters and with different networks has allowed me to also secure big fights and secure the fights that the fans also want to see me partake in. When you're attached to only one network and affiliated with only one promoter, sometimes that's very difficult to do because there's fights that the fans want to see that unfortunately are with another promoter or another network, and you're not going to get those fights at the time that you want. But being where I'm, in a position where I can move around, it's worked well for me, and I think also for my fans because they've gotten to see some really good matchups that, I've been able to deliver for them.
Is that, do you think, the advice you would give to other fighters? We've seen Canelo do it recently as well now, where he's parted way with DAZN. It was a 2-fight deal. We've seen Devin Haney as well do it again now as well. Is that the way fighters should be, where they're not interlocked with one promoter, gives them the opportunity to go and fight on different networks and make those big fights?
I can't give every fighter that advice because not every fighter is able to generate and bring a lot of fans. Some fighters do need a promoter to build them up. I mean, everybody needs a promoter when you're first starting to build up that career and develop as a fighter. If you try to do it on your own, probably not going to be able to do everything on your own. You need a team. But when you get to a certain level of popularity, of success, world championship fights, then you might be able to do so. If you can generate, if you can get people to tune in on TV, if you can get people to buy the tickets, buy the pay-per-view, at that point you might be able to leverage all of that in your favor. Whether it is with maybe one promoter on a fight-by-fight thing or maybe multiple entities, you can work things out. But in order for you to do so, you got to be popular, you got to be entertaining, you got to be successful in the ring, or else you're not going to be able to do that.
Mikey, let's come to Saturday night. There were a lot of talks beforehand of that you're going to be fighting Regis Prograis. There were a lot of rumours that was going to be the fight. Could you just explain why that didn't materialise from your perspective? We've heard Regis speak about it, but from your perspective, why was that not the next fight for you?
Well, we wanted that fight, and I still want that fight. That's not something that I chose not to take, but there was never any contract presented. There was never anything formally done. And the reason for that is because the time frame didn't allow for that promotion, for that fight to happen. A fight like that takes a bigger budget, which unfortunately for a bigger budget you also need more time to promote so that it can generate that kind of money that's going to cost to promote that fight, to get Regis and myself in the ring. And the time frame, the scheduling that Matchroom and DAZN have was too short. It was too short of a notice. We only had about 4 or 5 weeks, notice, and that's not enough time to promote a fight of that size. So that's why the fight didn't materialize. He wants the fight. I wanted the fight. I think we still both want that fight. Maybe after the Saturday night things go well, we can continue that development and maybe we can finally secure that.
Sandro Martin, I know he doesn't speak much English, but what do you know about him?
Well, I know he's a very good boxer. I've seen a little bit of video on him, and he's a good southpaw. And fighting a southpaw is always a challenge in itself. The southpaw stance presents different challenges, than a right-hand fighter. I know he's a good boxer. I'm expecting him to be the very best version of himself on Saturday night. I expect him to see this as his huge opportunity, bigger than if he was fighting for a vacant world title. Because if he was fighting for a vacant world title somewhere out there in Spain, people wouldn't really pay attention to. But the fact that he's fighting me, people are watching, and I expect him to be, in the best shape possible and ready to win, trying to upset me. So I gotta be fully ready for all that, and I am. I did all my training, I did all my sparring, to be in the best shape possible, so that I can show everybody, who I am, and that I'm still here, and that I'm not gone, and there's still more to deliver out of Mikey Garcia.
Mikey, you're 33 years old now, 40 plus fights, kind of very experienced, seen more or less everything in the game. Does he possess anything, a different type of challenge? Because you have fought southpaws before.
Yeah, I fought many southpaws in my career. Nothing new that I haven't seen. But when you're at this level, all it takes is one blink, one mistake, and things could really go wrong for you. So I gotta be ready. I just gotta be, ready to fight, the best fight that I can. Like I said, he does fight in a southpaw stance, which is always a little challenging, but it's nothing that I haven't seen. Power is not something that I haven't felt. The footwork is not something that I haven't seen. So I pretty much has faced pretty much everything. But like I said, all it takes is one little blink of an eye, and things can go wrong. So I can't allow that. I gotta be ready 100% of the time.
Mikey, you've achieved everything and more than an average boxer, multi-weight world champion. I'm sure you're financially secure as well. You've got your health on your side as well. You haven't taken a lot of punishment. So what continues to motivate you to fight at this very top level and continue in this brutal sport?
There's still more world championships to win. There's more championships to win. There's more accomplishments to take, and I think that I will be recognized once I'm done boxing, once I'm retired. I will be finally recognized, as one of the very, very best of this, generation. And even though I've already accomplished so much, there's still more to accomplish. I'm not done. I feel that there's huge fights in front of me coming up, very soon. This is just a fight to get back, but after this, you're gonna see me in bigger fights, and soon after that, maybe next year you'll see me in a huge mega fight with likes of Josh Taylor, Gervonta Davis. Those would be terrific matchups, huge matchups, and that's where I'm shooting for. That's where I want to be.
Would you say that you would play, well, not play boxing, but you would fight between 135 and 140? Those are your two divisions now and moving forward?
I don't feel I can come down to 135. That's not a weight class that I want to be in. I think 140 is an ideal weight class for me. This fight on Saturday night is actually packed at 145. Because of the time frame, all I had asked 147 just to keep it there on 147 because we only had a short window to prepare for the fight. But Sandor Martin being a natural 140 pounder, even though I was fighting 147 the last two fights, I never weighed in at 147. I weighed in at 144. So we decided to do a catch weight of 145. It's fine. Sandor Martin at 140 or Sandor Martin at 145 is the same guy. Me at 140, 145 is gonna be the same guy. So we decided 145 because of the time frame that we had to prepare. It's kind of hard to come down all the way to 140 with only 4 weeks to 5 weeks of camp. But I think after this fight, the idea is to come back to 140 for a future fight, especially if we're looking at fights like Josh Taylor, Gervonta Davis. Those guys are 140. So that's I think the goal for the next few fights.
If you had an option and I said laid it on the table, 140, pick a fighter that you want, who would that be?
Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is the man at 140. So why go around him? Why fight anybody else? Josh Taylor is the undisputed world champion at junior welterweight. I think there's no other fight bigger than that. And then if that was presented to me, that was put on the table, you're gonna see my signature on that paper.
Mikey, we wish you the best on Saturday night. Just before I let you go, I just want to quickly, a couple of other points outside of your fight on Saturday night. Obviously, we saw Errol Spence not fight Manny Pacquiao this year. That was the plan for Errol. He missed out. Do you think we'll see Errol back in the ring?
I think we will. I mean, I think he's gonna be healthy, very soon. Surgery, I think, went well from what I heard. He posted some pictures right after that also, and he's just gonna have to take some time off. I think the rest of the year he'll be resting until he can finally get back in the ring. But yeah, he'll be back, and he's a terrific fighter. So there's no reason to doubt him. He's one hell of a fighter, great skills, great talent, great strength, power. There's still so much more out of him. So I think we'll see him in the earlier part of next year.
Next month, Terence Crawford and Sean Porter. Finally, Crawford gets the big fight that he's been waiting for in that welterweight division. What do you make of that fight, and who comes out on top?
I think it's a great matchup too. Some people are overlooking Porter. I think Porter does better than people expect. His style, his pressure, volume, of punches is gonna give Crawford a good run for his money. I still feel Crawford wins, but in a close decision. Porter will probably be the aggressor all night. Crawford will be boxing in a southpaw stance, maybe switching to right hand once in a while, trying to make it difficult for Sean. But Sean's very tricky on the inside, can get on the inside, very resilient, very strong, throws a lot of punches. I think it'll be a good matchup, very good matchup, but I still see Crawford winning a decision.
Did you watch the crazy heavyweight fight on Saturday night?
Of course. What a fight, man. Crazy fight. You were on the edge of your seat. There was times where you thought Fury was about to go down and go out, and then you saw him come back and forth. You thought Deontay was out early in the fight, and then he came back and knocked down Fury. It was a back and forth fight. Great matchup, great trilogy. I think it's one for the ages in the heavyweight division and in boxing in general.
Mike, you've been around for such a long time. When you see fights like you did on Saturday night, Bob Arum and PBC coming together to make this great fight, are promoters getting in the way too much to allow these huge fights, whether it's Top Rank or Matchroom or whether it's PBC? We need to see these big fights for our sport to grow.
Well, you also have Crawford Porter coming up, and that's also Top Rank PBC. I think when it's a major fight, promoters are finally able to put their differences aside and let the business do its thing, let the fighters do their thing. But it's always at the right time. It has to make sense for the promoters. When a promoter or a network has a particular fighter under contract, it's not in their interest, in their best interest, to just let that fighter go. They want to keep them in-house and fight as many fights as they can to keep that business going. It's a machine. Until there's nothing else they can do. Once they took care of business, and there's only one or two other fights outside, then they're forced to do so. But it also has to do with the fighters. If the fighter demands to take on a specific fight, then the promoter needs to do that. The fighter, in the end of the day, the fighter is the boss, not the promoter. Then fighters need to remember that. You sign to a promotional company, and as a kid, you might think that the promoter is the boss, but it's not like that. The fighter is the boss. So the fighters need to remember that. And if they really want a fight that's outside of their promotional company, they need to demand that kind of fight.
Mikey, just finally, for your UK fans who'll be watching on DAZN, have you got a message for them?
I appreciate all the love and support. We're happy to be back, and I'm happy that everybody has continued to support me. I hope we can deliver the great matchup on Saturday, great fight, and look forward to something bigger coming up very soon. I'll actually maybe come out to the UK sometime. I would love to come out there, maybe fight in front of my fans out there.
Maybe Josh Taylor in the UK.
Maybe the Josh Taylor fight, we could do that in the UK. I think that would be a terrific matchup, terrific fight for all the fans out there, and we can, maybe go out there finally and just, fight in front of all the fans. I know I have a lot of fans out there also. So I appreciate all the love and support from all my fans out there in the UK.
Mikey Garcia, all the very best on Saturday night. I'm sure we'll catch up after the fight. Mikey Garcia for IFL TV, thank you very much.